Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it's so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome in to another edition of the JP Peterson Show, presented by the law offices of Christopher Palermo. You can reach them at palermopa.com. All right, we got, God, I hate to even say this, but old guys talking Bucs today. This is the seasoned reporters, experienced reporters. Let's go with that. Let's go with well-seasoned reporters talking Bucs today. Oh, over 75 years of experience covering the Bucs today on this show between myself, Scott Reynolds, and TJ Rives. I don't know if they're going to be excited about me talking about this, but we're all just very older, seasoned, but very young and vibrant men, so we're okay with that. As you can see me qualifying it. Welcome to the show today. We got all kinds of fun for you. We got those guests for you, and the never-ending question that we're going to be dealing with until he actually makes a decision. This is going to be way worse than Rodgers stuff. Tom Brady, will he be back? Will he not? Nick Geddes, Outkick.com, joining me here. What's up, my friend? How are you?
I'm good. I'm a little sleep deprived after I told you I was watching Yellowstone last night and have not gotten on that train until last night, really, and couldn't stop.
How far did the train take you?
I took
Santa Fe?
just about. I got all
Did you get
the way,
the Bozeman, Montana? No?
I got close, I think. I think I got close.
Where's that take place? Montana or Wyoming?
Montana,
yeah.
yeah. But all the way
Doesn't it make you want to go out there and like just
that's what I want to do now.
and fish and climb mountains and stuff?
There's like a moment in there where he's talking to a kid that kind of, reminds me of myself, very safe. And he says, you figure out if you're a shark or a minnow in this world. And if you don't know which one you are, then you're a minnow.
There's so many great lines in that. Should you take him to the bus stop or the train station? Have you figured that one out yet? Yeah. If you're not watching Yellowstone, so you went through how many episodes?
I went through season 2. Yeah.
So it's 7 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the morning.
4:30 in the morning of watching that.
Sleep deprived. Yeah. Well, that's what it does to you. When you get a show that you really, really like, and they're so good at giving you the cliffhanger.
The cliffhangers. I kept cutting myself off. 1 o'clock. Okay. 2 o'clock. Okay. 3 o'clock.
Who's your favorite? Who's your favorite character?
I love Rip.
Rip's awesome.
He just looks like a big badass cowboy.
That's exactly what he is.
That's what he is.
I say this because I think one of the allures of this is this allows for strong male characters, which you don't find a lot in American TV anymore. Like real men being real men, like that's not even allowed anymore. So I think that's a draw to it. Plus the nature part of it. I just love the fact that it's just like somebody just said, "Hey, let's do Game of Thrones and just put it in Montana." I mean, that's exactly what it is. It's fantastic though. I love it. Yellowstone viewers out there, light us up. All right. The big story obviously is Tom Brady last night on his Let's Go podcast. He said some things that really, really make you believe that he's headed towards retirement. Everything he's saying and said last night makes you believe he's headed for retirement. And, I said yesterday, I believe he's coming back. I think it's going to be a last dance. That thing he tweeted out right after the game, or TB12 Sports did, was like that told me of a guy that's ready to go back and do it again one more time. I just did not get the feeling that he was done. Now, listening to him last night, I kind of get the feeling that he's leaning that way. Let's listen in and we'll get your thoughts.
I'd rather play and lose than not play at all, and as much as a losing hurts, it's much more enjoyable for me to be in the arena than not in the arena. As difficult as it was to lose the game yesterday, I was glad I played in it, and I was glad I was a part of it. And as challenging as the season was, I was glad I played and glad I participated, because I'm living my life, and I'm not just counting the days. So my days are meaningful to me. I'm going to try to keep them meaningful to me. football is extremely important in my life, and it means a lot to me. And I care a lot about what we're trying to accomplish as a team. And I care a lot about my teammates. And the biggest difference now that I'm older is I have kids now too, and I care about them a lot as well. And, they've been my biggest supporters. My wife is my biggest supporter. It pains her to see me get hit out there. And, she deserves what she needs from me as a husband. And my kids deserve what they need from me as a dad. And, I'm going to spend some time with them and give them what they need, because they've really been giving me what I need the last 6 months to do what I love to do. And, I said this a few years ago, it's what relationships are all about. It's not always what I want. It's what we want as a family. And, I'm going to spend a lot of time with them and then, figure out in the future what's next.
Well, that sounds pretty much like time to play dad and husband. They've waited long enough. And you remember what Giselle said on the field after Super Bowl, like, what do you have left to prove? I get it. It just doesn't feel like the end. He didn't walk off like it was the end, or he was even thinking about being the end. I don't think he goes out with the bitter taste, although he said last night that he's satisfied with, if he calls it a career, he's certainly satisfied. Why wouldn't he be? Here's an interesting thing, and I love all this stuff because this really gets into the mind of the man. This is from PlayCap, Decap 813. Said Brady's a major advocate of the book The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Great read, by the way. One of those agreements is to be impeccable with your word. He's been talking about ending it at 45 for a long time, and now he's just going to stop at 44. Can't see it. Plus, he has another year on his contract. I think when he talked to his teammates about coming to play here, I think he talked about 3 years. And I think there are guys that have made life arrangements around that. And I think it would be very hard for Tom to look them in the eye and say, I'm hanging it up. Of course, that's the same thing he has to do, is look his wife in the eye and say, I'm going to do one more. I think that she probably knows that, though. It's hard for me to believe that a guy that is so disciplined and his life is so planned out to the morsel and ice cube that he eats, that he would not know what his future holds in terms of how long he's going to play and really plans on playing. What did you hear?
When I heard that, I remember we played some snippets of this stuff back in September and October, remember? And he was talking about his family. And really, the quotes from then and the quotes from yesterday, they're really not all that different if you really go back and listen to both of them. Yeah. It just strikes or stings a little different now because of how it ended, right? And because of the report that came out. That's what makes it different. And the thing you have to remember, we want him to go out on a high note, but his time in New England didn't go out on a high note, did it?
No.
It went out with a pick six.
Yep.
And some people thought that was the end. It's not always going to be as illustrious as we want it, but it's just the fact that he's 44 years old and he just set multiple NFL records.
I know.
How can you walk away from that? He's not anywhere near a parody of himself. In some ways, he's the best version of himself at this point.
Right. I mean, you saw the end for so many of these guys was so bad. And that may be playing into it too. He knows at some point, there could be that injury. There could be that thing that suddenly he's not playing well. Although it's different that, you look at Peyton Manning in his last year. I mean, his arm strength was just awful. There was such declining physical abilities. It was so evident, and that's just not with Brady. And I don't see that happening next year. His arm is not going to suddenly go dead.
Yeah, Brett Favre's another one. He pushed the envelope for another year, and he should have probably gone out after the 2009 season. We'd all look back in retrospect. Mm-hmm. I just can't see, though, Brady having that much of a drop-off in the next 8 months. I just can't see it. I really don't. And the more you look at the team around him, we know what the situation is, all the free agents. They can bring back probably a lot of these guys realistically. They can get creative. I did a little bit more digging. They can get creative with it and run it back. And like I said yesterday, you're 28-3 against the entire league, not named the Saints and the Rams. Yeah, you got a chance against everybody when you got Tom Brady.
There's no question that their schedule will be much harder next year. But if Brady comes back, and I know that this organization is all in, they're not going to like, well, I don't know if we're going to keep extending contracts and pushing stuff down the road. At some point, we got to pay the pipe. Bull crap. If Brady says they're coming back, they're going to push everything down the road. You're going to have to rebuild at some point anyway. So you might as well, take from an organizational standpoint, they will literally, and I said this yesterday, and I'm sure they will do it. They'll be very proactive, and I'm sure they're already working on a plan to sit down with Tom and say, look, this is what our plan is if you come back. We're going to bring back Leonard Fournette. We're going to get Chris Godwin. We're going to franchise CD3. We're going to, we're going to go into the draft and get some depth along the offensive line. We're going to, there's all types of things they can do to improve this football team. And I think they can improve the football team. I think this team can be better next year. Obviously, with Godwin coming back, which I believe he'll be fully ready to go. I know it was a late season ACL, but the way that guy works and the way modern medicine is these days with stem cells and recovery, I don't think there's any question that Godwin will be back. There's slight question, certainly, but I just think the way that guy works, I think it'll happen. So I think they can, without question, they can have, and there'll be veterans lining up to come play with Tom Brady, especially for the last dance. Now, there was a couple of other quotes in there that were kind of interesting. Joey Knight had in the Times on whether he'd be interested in having a series of farewell tour tributes his final season. He said, I think that would be distracting for me. My enjoyment comes not recognition of what I've accomplished as a player in the league. My enjoyment comes from the competition. Well, of course, they don't have to do that. You can just tell the other teams, we don't want any special presentations, none of, special videos or anything like that. We just want to keep it to the game. Now, the fans organically will do what they do, and I think that's probably fine with Tom. But making, a big pomp and circumstance to every stadium he goes to, obviously he has no interest in that, but he can control them. So I don't think that's a problem. On whether he could exit his career proud and satisfied even after that loss, he said, quote, I would say I'm proud and satisfied of everything we've accomplished this year. I know when I give it my all, that's something to be proud of, and I've literally given everything I had this year. Last year, the year before that, I don't leave anything half-ass. I think I leave it with everything I have. So, to that degree of whether that loss sticks with him, clearly not. That's not going to be a factor. Although, I don't know, in his DNA,
I think they all stick with him. I think they all stick with him to a point.
On the unsportsmanlike, he said, if I feel like they miss a call, I want to let the guy know. And I've done that literally 1,000 times over the course of my career and never got called. I didn't cuss. I didn't do any of those things other than identify the hit to him. Look, I think all three of those penalties, they could have kept the flag in their pocket. I don't think there's any question about that. And those were significant penalties. All three of those personal fouls. Levante David one was a joke. I mean, he's like 3 yards from the sideline. That guy takes his helmet off and slams it down. That happens every game. That was a terrible call. I think there was too many intrusive calls in that game anyway that flipped it. But again, the Rams were the better team. There's no question about that. Let's get into some of the other sound from yesterday. And this is obviously Bucs related. And Sal Palantonio kind of texted me about this one. This is Arians talking about the next quarterback on the roster if Tom were to call it quits.
I'd be comfortable with Rick if it is. I like what we have. But again, you never know what's behind door number 2. We kind of went down that road 2 years ago, and there was Tom Brady. So, we'll have to wait and see.
You think that, and Sal Pal and I were talking about this a little bit, and he kind of agreed with me. Do you think that was a little cheese? Bruce throwing out there to Brady, well, if you're not coming back, maybe we can get Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson. This is your team. You sure you want to leave? Do you sure you want to see us go to the Super Bowl with one of your rivals?
I'm sure there's something there from Bruce there. It's a chess game. It's a big old chess game. Now, if you think for 1 second that the Bucs are rolling out Blaine Gabbert or Kyle Trask under center, hell no. Come on.
No,
you got a better chance.
Gabbert's good, man.
Hey, what about a Jameis Winston reunion? He's a free agent.
Oh my God, I never thought about that.
So maybe all the Jameis 101 fans, the diehards, can finally see Jameis with this stacked roster that we never gave him.
Yeah, it's funny. That may have been an option at one time, but all the bad blood now, the stuff that I'm trying to remember. Like, is this all Jameis 101? Our friend of the show here, who I really do not like him propping up AB, by the way. What are you doing, dude? Come on, stop it. I know you don't like Arians, but just stop it. Don't support that douchebag. But there was a lot of vitriol between the Jameis camp and Arians. I felt like the organization did him wrong. I mean, I can't imagine why, but I don't think.
I'm just saying. Happening. I saw a little buzz on social media yesterday. People theorizing it, and you want 30
Bucs fans. You want Jameis back?
You want 30 picks again? Be my guest.
Hey, he was playing well in New Orleans. First of all,
he was throwing like 10 times a game.
I know. Listen, the Arians offense and Jameis Winston do not mix. That's like gas on a fire. That's like these drug clinics in New York they set up. Come on in. Here's all the drugs you need. You do not Jameis is not a drug guy. That's not what I'm saying. But you're feeding into his risk it no biscuit offense and Jameis Winston just do not mix. I think we all know that. That's not a good thing. You got to have a disciplined guy pulling the trigger, and Jameis is not. But where does Jameis end up? That's an interesting question.
Wherever the stars don't go.
Where's Sean Payton going?
That's a good question too.
I got to get Mike Neighbors on here.
Yeah, we got to know what's going on with that.
Yeah, let me see if I can get Neighbors on later in the show. So he's actually looking. So the word is, if Aikman leaves for Amazon, Amazon is now, I guess, a player in the NFL football. God,
how many more streaming services do I have to pay for just to watch football?
That's crazy. If Sean Payton leaves New Orleans, wow. And interesting flip from Jerry Jones on Friday. So two things that happened in coincidence. Suddenly, Sean Payton is not coming back to New Orleans. Even the organization says we're unsure of his future. And Jerry Jones suddenly souring on Mike McCarthy late in the week, when early in the week he was supporting him. And we've always heard about Sean Payton going to Dallas.
Yep.
Because I believe he lives there.
Yep. That's the only team that he's ever said he'd leave Dallas or New Orleans for was Dallas.
That seems kind of like a match made in heaven right there.
It does.
Because they're going to lose Dan Quinn, their defense coordinator, the guy that turned around their defense. So, I mean, that would be, from a Bucs standpoint, that would be a little scary. It'd be great, though, because get him the hell out of our division.
Get him out of our division, please.
Yeah,
please.
So I guess that's better. Get him out of our division, and because he certainly owns Bruce Arians. And I think these teams you mentioned, the Rams and the Saints, that have been Tom Brady's nemesis here and the Bucs nemesis, it's because we get out coached. I've heard, we talked about this on Monday, how the Bucs were out coached. And look, this doesn't mean we have bad coaches or Arians a bad coach. That means these other coaches are really, really good, and they got the best of them that day. It just happens. It's part of, just like if you're playing on the offensive line and you got a guy over you who just kind of dominates you that day. It's the same thing with coaches. Coaches have good games and bad games. They have good calls there in the flow. They have good game plans that work out, and sometimes they don't. But right now, there's no question that the Bucs got outcoached on so many levels. And for the life of me, I just don't understand, when I was watching the game back, how they handled Cooper Kupp in this game is mystifying. They did not pay any special attention to him whatsoever. And that's just it's mind-boggling. I don't know, especially for a guy that has torched you so many times.
Guys got close to 500 yards receiving in 4 games against the Bucs.
It's insane.
It's outrageous. Like, I understand he does this against almost everybody, but not to this extent.
No.
Like he's done to Todd Bowles.
No.
He just schooled him in every single game.
And then to leave him in one-on-one coverage. Well, I guess the first play wasn't one-on-one coverage, but the second one was with a safety.
Yeah,
it's just mind-blowing.
I got a chance to see that angle from behind there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the same angle.
Yeah.
And I don't think, and Bruce, I think, alluded to it, there wasn't really a miscommunication. They were all lined up.
Yeah.
But the problem was Antoine Winfield left on an island, got very flat-footed.
Yeah.
Very
terrible
flat-footed.
technique.
It was just terrible technique. And the difference was the play before, they were playing like 20, 25 yards off the ball. The safeties were.
Yeah.
They were like 10 yards, 15 yards on that play.
Which if you're going to run zero, which again is crazy in that situation. You can't leave the best receiver in football one-on-one with a safety. Why? Because he's not adept at man-to-man coverage and technique, and thus being flat-footed 10 yards off the line when Cooper Kupp's running at you full speed and you still haven't turned your hips and ready to run. I mean, it's maybe if you have a corner in press man, you have much better chance to have that happen. And I understand they have other weapons. They have Odell, they have Van Jefferson. These good receivers.
You knew where the ball was going.
Yeah, but my God. I mean, how do you do that?
And the other thing, too, about the blitz, I know I killed it yesterday, and Ndamukong Suh got there right away.
Exactly. That's what I was telling you. I mean, they want to say that everybody didn't get lined up, and Bruce said after the game, well, if we just didn't get the pressure. Nobody touched him. Like, you couldn't have had a better situation. He came right from the middle, right up the gut.
Yeah.
The reason you got screwed is because you gave away the defense by the way you lined up, number one. There was no disguise whatsoever. So Matthew Stafford knew exactly what was coming. He was ready for it. And you put a flat-footed safety on the best receiver in the game. I mean, that's just –
and from that standpoint, that's to me, that's bad coaching.
It's horrible coaching with the no deep help over the top.
Yeah.
I mean – that's horrible coaching.
It looks even worse when you watch it back. It really does.
And honestly, I can't even blame Winfield putting him in that situation. But this is what I said. If you go back and look at the tape, all game long, they didn't do anything special to stop Cooper Kupp. They did nothing.
I know.
I mean, isn't that the reason you have coaches is to find the danger spots and be able to come up with a strategy to neutralize those?
Yeah. I mean, we even mentioned the play before that, too. And I think Shane did a great job of breaking that down. Awful technique from Murphy Bunting.
Yep.
Awful technique. Why are you playing technique like that in that situation? Just very wild with it. And then slipping, obviously. I mean, 3 seconds goes by and he's already in front of you. Yeah. And you're 10 yards off.
I went back and looked at Cooper Kupp's high school recruitment and also his college. He goes to it's a guy who's 6'2", 180.
Yeah.
Broke every high school record.
And a little white receiver.
He's not even little,
no,
really.
No,
he's not an Edelman. He's not a Scotty Miller. The dude is legit 6'2", 190 pounds. Maybe 6'1". I think his NFL number is 6'1". But he's he's not small. He's not a small guy, but his 40 time was 4.62. Which is why he dropped in the draft. He went in the third round. But he smashed, he went to Eastern Washington because he couldn't get a scholarship. Okay. Not one D1 school out there going to give this, I wonder why. And he gets drafted in the third round and becomes, the best receiver in the NFL. And we're sitting here saying, why do you not cover this guy? Why are you putting Winfield on him? I mean, you could say, well, he's, he only runs just 4.62.
I don't care what the numbers say.
It's ridiculous.
Just watch the game.
He runs by people. He gets open. Yes.
He did it to you earlier in the game.
Yes.
I just, that's what's crazy to me. Almost every pass he caught yesterday, it's not like they were contested catches. He's wide ass open.
Yeah.
He's wide ass open.
It's a complete lack of respect for the guy. Complete lack of respect for the guy. I mean, that's I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is.
To me, the defense that Todd Bowles put out there, it was just so much different from what we saw even the week prior against the Eagles.
And the offense too.
Yeah, and I understand.
Where the hell's the no huddle?
Yeah, this is the things that worked all year long. You don't go back to in your biggest game, and this is why you are where you are right now.
Terribly outcoached. This is part of football that I think is. I'm not in these meetings. I'm not at this level of strategy, but when you're a team like the Buccaneers and then you're a coaching staff like the Bucs going up against McVay, they know the same thing that we know. They're like, man, we've been outcoached a lot of times with this guy. So we got to get a better plan. And of course, one thing you tend to do, which is I think a tragic mistake, is go away from what you do well in order to quote surprise the enemy, surprise the other team. Oh, they think we're going to come out in no huddle. They're going to think we're going to come out up tempo. Well, we're going to trick them. We're not going to do that. Well, that's what you do. That's what you do best. That's what your offense does great.
Probably would have helped the pass rush.
Of course, it would have helped the pass rush. You tire them out.
It's 101.
You tire them out. I mean, pass rushing is so much more energy than pass protecting. And that is a tool that you can use along with screens and draws and other things to slow down the rush. And these guys were just coming off the ball like freaking bulls. And, you get behind, but that's one of the things you can do. And we didn't utilize it except for one series in the game.
And it makes me wonder, obviously they had to have known when Tristan Wirfs when they decided he wasn't going to play. I doubt it.
Another miscalculation.
I don't know if it was. I doubt it was game day. They had to have known before. You had to have some kind of game plan.
If the dude has torn ligaments in his ankle,
yeah, you had to have known.
I mean,
but my point with that is, if you know he's not going to play, and you're putting a guy in who's considerably worse and injured as well,
yes,
against that front, and you're just going to try to play your game.
And especially after you what you did to the Chiefs the year before when they tried to go with 2 backup tackles
exactly
and not help them.
Exactly.
I mean, that was like there's so many coaching errors in this game.
And that's
not using your timeouts before the half.
And that's a big thing because they were down 17 to nothing in a blink of an eye, right?
Yeah,
it was a blink of an eye. It was 17-0. Because you tried to play your game offense and you couldn't hold up protection. You gotta have something more creative going on.
Yeah.
And that's a lack on Byron Leftwich and the coaching staff.
And 3 for 14 on third downs obviously speaks to execution, lack of protection, but also speaks to a lack of creativity in your play calling. I just look. I'm not saying these guys are bad coaches, but they had a bad game. They had a really bad game.
And I just say, unfortunately, and I'm not calling for anybody's head.
No,
you know that, but there are many instances with this team where I've always felt like the coaching staff lets them down in a lot of scenarios.
Yeah,
I really believe that.
I wouldn't say a lot of scenarios. I think generally speaking, it's a really, really good coaching staff. And I thought they dismantled the Eagles and everybody. That was a great plan. It was great execution. I know the Eagles aren't nearly what the Rams are, but everything they played complementary football. Mm-hmm. They did everything well. This game, they did everything wrong. Why so many mental mistakes at this point of the season? Why blowing a cover 2 101 mistake? Why so many of these mental mistakes that they haven't been making over the most of the year?
Yeah, Devin White, same one also that he's making all year.
Yeah,
going after the quarterback. It just you can't. It's a thin margin of error. You can do that stuff against Philadelphia and get away with it. You just cannot do it against these teams.
Yeah. All right, let's go back to some of the sound here before we get to Scott Reynolds coming up at 10:30. Let's play number 4 from Arians. He was asked about Levante's comment that there was a lot of turmoil on this team, a lot of bumping of heads during the season. What exactly was that all about?
Yeah, I guess you'd have to ask him, what he meant with turmoil. I'm guessing it was what you just said. All the injuries and the different bodies each week, putting game plans together for different corners every single week defensively, offensively, the same thing. So as far as the locker room, this is probably the tightest locker room I've ever seen.
I mean, that's the sense I get. But I also get a little bit, just from social media, Ronald Jones coming out there and supporting AB. A lot of the mental mistakes. I don't know. There just seems a little. There's some smoke there, and I'm wondering if there's a little fire. Because that AB thing just doesn't pop up out of nowhere. I wonder if how much that started boiling over. From what I've heard, there were some lead ups to it. I think when he was suspended and was away from the team, there was. I think that's when things started to unravel. From a team perspective, I don't think it's the reason that they lost the game, but I think we're going to learn more about that.
Yeah, there's definitely more to that story. I don't want to hear AB tell any more of it.
Yeah,
okay. I don't need any more from him.
Yeah,
he continues to go on. I want to hear from somebody else.
I hate to give him any press, but people are talking about it. What's the latest BS that he put out there?
He called Bruce Arians a barbarian.
Oh yeah.
And you got all these people who are saying, well, AB was low key right about everything.
How is he right? He lied about the interaction between he and Brady. And some of you idiots out there keep swallowing it. Why do people in the face of all the information and data that's out there keep clinging to narratives that are clearly proven untrue?
People are going to believe what they want to believe.
They're going to believe what they want to believe. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? All right, we will take a break. When we come back, Scott Reynolds will join us. We are brought to you by the law offices of Christopher Palermo. If you have any issues with stucco damage, and if you got cracks in your stucco, folks, there may be some water damage behind that. Chris will direct you through the whole situation, get you some experts to check it out and see if you have a case. Go to PalermoPA.com to get in touch with Chris Palermo, and he will help you out. Back in a moment with Scott Reynolds. Who wants free mobile service? I do, and you can get 30 gigs a month from companies like AT&T Service, T-Mobile. Great service. Keep your number and get free mobile service. It's part of the emergency broadband benefit from the stimulus bill. 87% of America qualifies. So if you think you make too much money or whatever, just go to jpcares.info and find out. It'll take you a few minutes. jpcares.info to find out if you qualify for free cell service. Get it now before it's all used up.
JP here for my friend, attorney Christopher Palermo. If you are having issues with a claim on your homeowner's insurance from a sinkhole, storm damage, water intrusion, defective stucco, and construction defects, or any other issue, Christopher is your man. These big insurance companies didn't get rich paying out what you deserve. Chris founded his practice in 2009 with a passion to help all Floridians with disputes where they were forced to take on the powerful and needed a champion in their corner. Chris wants to make sure you will receive the most aggressive and compassionate representations. He has recovered millions in settlements on cash and make sure you're making the right financial decisions in your life. Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services in Tampa can help you out on all those fronts. I've known Fitz for over 30 years. He's done 3 of my mortgages. In fact, Scott has done over 3,000 loans in the Tampa Bay area for many of our coaches, athletes, from Bucks to Bulls. And he can save you big money. AMS is a wholesale broker. They will shop your loan to dozens of banks and let them compete for your business. Quick story, one listener had a done deal with a big national mortgage company who was promising a 2.75 interest rate. Well, when it came time to lock in, it was 3.25. Emailed Scott, got in the actual 2.75, saved him over $3,000 in first-year payments and $2,200 in lender's fees. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, scott@amstampa.com.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the law offices of Christopher Palermo. And also, if you're in the market for a refinance, American Mortgage Services, Scott Fitzgerald is ready to help you out. Joined our show last week, told us those rates are going or should already be in the 5s, but they're still in the mid-3s. So if you've been thinking about refinancing, he's your guy. He will pay for your appraisal if you mention the JP Show, so that gives you free reign to find out how much money is in your house, how much you can get out, what the numbers are, with very, very little upfront expense. So email him, scott@amstampa.com, scott@amstampa.com. He will take care of you. It's all free, and you can find out how much money you can get out, what it'll cost, all that good stuff. scott@amstampa.com. All right, let's welcome in another super Scott, the great Scott Reynolds, joining us here from Pewter Report. What's up, my friend? How are you?
Hey, JP, how are you?
Good. I kind of apologize. I put out an RTs today that we're going to have over 75 years of Bucks coverage experience on the show today with me, you, and TJ Rives. So I hope the folks understand that we're just seasoned veterans, not old guys. That's the way we look at it.
That's true. That's a fact, yeah.
Much like Tom Brady, right?
That's right, yeah. I'm even older than Tom Brady. I think you are too. So
just by a bit. But, age is just
by a bit. Yeah.
Age is just a number.
Yeah.
So that is the burning question. Before we relive one of the greatest games in Buccaneers history, we hate the ending, but man, what an unforgettable game. What's your gut on Brady right now, given what he said last this podcast? What's your gut?
Well, I mean, I haven't talked to Giselle, so I'm not sure. I think she probably wants him to retire. But she's wanted him to retire the last couple of years, right?
That's right.
So as much as Tom says that he's going to consult her, I mean, we know who's kind of won that argument the last couple of seasons. I think Tom Brady has said he wants to play till 45, right? He's 44. He'll be 45 this year. So I think that's out there. And I think one more season with one more shot at a Super Bowl. And that's the key thing, JP. He's not coming back just to win the NFC South. He's not coming back to make the playoffs. He wants to come back for one more shot at a Super Bowl. And I think there's some really strong clues, some breadcrumbs we need to follow here, okay? Tampa Bay's roster was good enough to lure Tom Brady to Tampa, right? The offensive line, having this experienced coaching staff with Bruce Arians on one side, Todd Bowles on the other, and Byron Leftwich is the play caller, wide receivers Chris Godwin and Mike Evans for sure. Remember, because Brady didn't have a lot of weapons back in 2019 with New England. They lost that playoff game at home to the Titans because Brady had Julian Edelman and nobody else. So now the thing is, the roster lured Brady to Tampa, but who was his first phone call to? Rob Gronkowski, right? So the roster was good, but it wasn't good enough. Brady added Rob Gronkowski. Brady added Leonard Fournette at the end of training camp. Brady added Antonio Brown in the midseason. So, and remember, all three of those guys were the ones that scored the touchdowns in the Super Bowl.
That's right.
So the Bucs roster was good enough to get Brady here, but it wasn't good enough by his own estimation to win a Super Bowl. And he was right, because again, those guys are the ones that scored the touchdowns in the Super Bowl. So fast forward to Sunday, and you saw Mike Evans and Rob Gronkowski, and obviously Antonio Brown's long gone, and Chris Godwin was on injured reserve. And there just wasn't enough weapons for Brady, right? And the offense struggled all day. It really needed those 4 takeaways to even, put up 27 points. So I think we're at the point where Brady's got to see the blueprint from Jason Light and Bruce Arians. And what I mean by that is the personnel. More weapons, not Tyler Johnson, not Scotty Miller, not Brashad Perriman, some real legit weapons, AB caliber weapons, almost like an Odell Beckham Jr. type, right? That came in to help LA. So I think he's got to see that. The other part of it is, and I think you saw the opening salvo fired by Bruce Arians yesterday in the press conference, where he kind of came out and said, hey, if Byron Leftwich leaves, I'm taking over the play calling duties. We've reported a Pewter report that Kevin Garver, the wide receivers coach, he would be promoted to be the offensive coordinator. But like you see in a lot of places around the league, sometimes the head coach calls the plays, right? Harold Goodwin was the offensive coordinator in Arizona under Bruce Arians, but Bruce called the plays. So I think Garver, because of his inexperience as not having the play calling duties before, he's not going to saddle Brady with someone like Garver, right? It's one thing to have Leftwich, who is an experienced hand. He had 2 years of play calling duties before Brady got here, one in Arizona, one in Tampa. So I think that was a message from Arians to Brady saying, hey, you and I are going to be working together next year. If you decide to come back, don't worry. Even if Byron leaves, you're going to be in good hands.
Yeah, I would agree with all that. And also him saying that, if Tom doesn't come back, we'll look at who's behind door number 2. Maybe that's just a little, hey, Tom, if you don't come back, you don't want to see Aaron Rodgers, getting in there behind your boy Ryan Jensen. No, but I said this yesterday. I think the Bucs need to, and I'm sure they're already working on this. You got to have a proposal ready, and next week or the week after, and bring Tom in and say, okay, here's our plan. We're bringing Jensen back. We're bringing Godwin back. We're pushing all this money into 2023. And you can help me out here as far as I know, in these salary cap rules. I mean, they got a lot of guys to bring back, CD3, blah, 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 lots of guys. But they can redo contracts again. The cap's going to go up dramatically, I think, this year with the new TV agreement kicking in, and they can still push stuff into 2023. There's going to be a giant rebuild when Tom leaves, but I think the Bucs can make it clear to him that, look, we're not strapped for cap. We're not doing this. We're not doing that. We're reworking contracts. we're going to keep everybody we need to keep, right? They can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. And I think too, listen, Mike Evans now has 2 years left on his deal. He shows no sign of slowing down, right? 8 straight 1,000-yard seasons. The guy's a warrior. He'll play through injury.
I think this is his best year.
It's certainly one of them, right? I mean, 14 touchdowns. He came through with back-to-back 100-yard games with a touchdown in the playoffs. You know, he's every bit Mike Evans.
Yes.
He's the best offensive player in team history.
Yep.
And as much as I love the A train, that's where we are. I mean, Mike Evans is the best player on offense in Bucs history. And having said that, you and I have covered this team long enough. Keyshawn Johnson was never fleet of foot,
right?
But it helps when you're 6'4", 6'5", because you can kind of be that possession guy later in your career.
Yep.
And what I mean by that is, listen, Mike Evans is not slowing down. I mean, he torched Jalen Ramsey, the best cover corner in the league, for a 55-yard touchdown, roasted him on that. I mean, it was not even a foot race. I mean, he beat him by a yard for that touchdown. So Mike Evans still has plenty of juice at age 28. But the thing is I think Mike Evans can play well, barring a serious injury, until he's like 34, just because a big bodied guy. And when he does start to slow down a bit, he's still going to have the size to be a possession receiver. You know, he might ultimately end up being one of those guys that's a 700-yard guy rather than 1,000, later in his career, if he wants to continue to play. So what I'm saying is he's got 2 years left on his deal. You can extend Mike Evans and really drop that cap number down significantly, because I think he's on the books for around $18 million in 2022 or a number similar to that. So you can really drop that down. You can say, Mike, we're going to pay you $8 million this year because we're going to guarantee it. And Mike's going to be, that's fine. I'll just get the money a little bit later. I mean, I think he can, with the money Mike's made and with say $8 million, I think Mike can get by, right? And then you push that money back, you kind of backload the deal, and all of a sudden you free up $10 million to go get some free agents. One of the guys I'd like to see them get, and I'm not opposed to bringing Leonard Fournette back for the right price, but one of the guys I'd like to see them go after is Cordell Patterson in Atlanta.
Yes.
This guy had 1,000 yards combined as a wide receiver, running back, had his best offensive year. He came in the league back in the day in Minnesota as a first-round pick, as a wide receiver, never really made it as a receiver. He's a fantastic kick returner. Yeah. But boy, you put him in the backfield, or maybe out as a slot receiver or wide receiver. He's 6'2", 220. Physical player, great
slot.
Hands.
Oh, he would be great in that slot.
He would be offense. I mean, if you put him in the mix with Fournette, Gronkowski, and Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. Oh, by the way, Mike Evans. I mean, by the way, Cordero Patterson played with Tom Brady, won a Super Bowl with him in New England in 2018. So there's another Patriots connection. Right?
I totally forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Until I did the research on it. So it's like that's a fantastic fit. You steal him from a division rival in Atlanta, and and then you add another wide receiver in the draft. I mean, you can never have enough good skill players. And Tyler Johnson just is, he's a number 5 wide receiver at best. Maybe Scotty Miller is just we're talking about back end roster guys. So it's like you can have Darden, Cyril Grayson, Scotty Miller, Tyler Johnson, have all 4 of those guys back next year in camp, but to compete for the final roster spot at the receiver position. They've really got to upgrade that number 3 receiver position, because it's so important, because they start 3 receivers so many games.
Totally agree. And I think the Bucs are going to make that presentation to Brady. So everything is predicated on if he comes back, obviously. So let's,
correct.
All right, let's back up a little bit, because I want to get your take on this game. And I said it yesterday, and we said it at the beginning of the show. I think the Bucs were outcoached. And I think, McVay has Arians' number, as Sean Payton has Arians' number. It's just these two teams are closer in competition in talent than that game showed. I don't think there's any question about that. What are your thoughts on some of the coaching decisions? Obviously, the last call by Todd Bowles, But not only that, not going hurry up to start the game or any significant parts of the game, not going no huddle to slow down the pass rush. And not having an answer for Cooper Kupp. For God's sakes, the guy's a triple crown, and they treated him like he's Scotty Miller. I mean, there was nothing special. At least I could see that they did. And then last play, you leave a safety one-on-one coverage with Cooper Kupp and don't disguise your defense at all. I mean, wow.
Yeah, let's start there. I mean, Matthew Stafford is statistically the best quarterback in 2021 against the blitz. He has a quarterback rating of 138.1. Right. He has only been sacked 8 times out of the close to 40 sacks he's taken this year. 27 sacks came on a 4-man rush. Oh, and by the way, if you want to sack him, as the Bucs did twice, those came on 4-man rushes.
Yeah.
Right. So if you want to apply pressure, trust your 4-man rush. I think Bruce Arians was either incorrect or misinformed. They didn't need 12 yards for a field goal. Okay. It wasn't 12 yards. They needed about 22 yards to get into field goal range.
And maybe more, given that Gay was short on a 48-yarder and he was injured.
That's correct. So I just think that going in a la blitz was the wrong call. The analytics, the statistics said that you don't blitz Matthew Stafford. And here's the thing, JP. I'm going to draw on my days as a South Pasco Predators defensive coordinator at the Pop Warner level. Okay, I've called some all-out blitzes. We had a blitz called House where we brought the house. Okay, the thing with those blitzes is, in order for them to be successful, you have to have everyone lined up in the proper alignment, right? Because you've got certain guys hitting certain gaps, and so you've got to have that alignment. The problem with the Rams went tempo. The only 2 players at the line of scrimmage who were set in their stance ready to go were Jason Pierre-Paul, who was rushing inside, and Vita Vea, who was an outside rusher on that play. And Ndamukong Suh wasn't even in a stance yet. Neither was Shaq Barrett. And yet Ndamukong Suh did beat his guy up the middle.
Clean.
But the thing is Levante David didn't blitz. I mean, they weren't ready. They simply weren't ready to execute that blitz. It was just the wrong call at the wrong time. It freed up Cooper Kupp in the slot. The Rams, that's a dagger concept. It's called NASCAR. That's the play they ran. And the thing is, Cooper Kupp is not even the primary read on that play. No. He is a vertical threat, but it's supposed to go either to the flank or the split end. But the problem is with that blitz, Sean Murphy-Bunting blitzing from the corner, from the slot, I should say, that was right in Matthew Stafford's peripheral vision, right? Because if you're going to blitz from the slot, do it on the blind side. But the problem is he saw Sean Murphy-Bunting come from the slot. That's a tell. JP, you were a former quarterback back in the day. You throw where they ain't, right? That's what Bobby Madden used to say. You throw where they ain't. And so if they're coming from the slot, that means the slot receiver is uncovered off the line. So who's going to pick up the slot then? The deep safety, right? So within one fraction of a second, Matthew Stafford knows exactly where he's going with the ball. Oh, and by the way, that happens to be the best receiver in football. He's going to throw to.
And
he's going to have a one-on-one
is
situation.
10 yards off the ball. He's not even playing deep safety. There's no deep safety on the play.
Correct. It's an all-out blitz. It's a cover zero.
Matthew Stafford had to go, what the hell are they doing? This is going to be easy.
He has the responsibility to pick up Cooper Kupp. The problem is, because of his alignment, he's flat-footed.
Right.
Okay, so you've got Cooper Kupp with a 10-yard head start running full speed, and then you're expecting Antoine Winfield, who can't jam him because he's 10 yards off the ball, impede progress without getting penalty. So,
which, by the way, he should have done. At that point, you should have grabbed him.
Which he should have done.
Yeah,
he should have just tackled him or something.
Absolutely.
But the
100%.
problem is he was already by him, right? It was destined to fail from the moment the ball was snapped. And listen, I gave Todd Bowles a bunch of credit because to win the Super Bowl and beat the Kansas City Chiefs, last February, he had to go against his instincts, betray his own nature as a blitzer, and play cover 2. and they blitzed the Chiefs a total 5 times in the Super Bowl. 5.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's the lowest Todd Bowles ever blitzed last year. And he called 0 blitzes where he brought 6 or more. So he only brought 5 guys 5 times in the Super Bowl. What was the outcome? 31-9, kept the Chiefs out of the end zone because he followed the game plan. He stuck to the script. But the problem is Todd Bowles betrayed himself. He betrayed the game plan. He betrayed the script, and he blitzed. He reverted back to his nature. And it was the wrong call at the wrong time against the wrong quarterback and the wrong receiver, and they had the wrong outcome for the Buccaneers.
Yeah, it wasn't his finest moment. Doesn't mean he's a bad coach. Like I said earlier, coaches have bad games just like players do.
That's right.
You get in a bad situation and you can't figure it out. I mean, a lot of times they've made great adjustments and they've been able to figure out. They do it a lot, but this game they did not. And against the Rams, they haven't. Scott Reynolds, Pewter Report, joining us here. What about the offensive game plan? I still have a huge problem with their selection on the offensive line. I said early in the week they should put Stinney at right guard, move Kappa out to right tackle, especially with, first of all, Josh Wells is not great anyway, and he was hurt. He was hurt.
Yeah.
How in God's name did they think he was going to hold up against Aaron Donald and Leonard Floyd and Von Miller? I mean, and I know they put him out there a lot one-on-one. I mean, that was why did they not move Kappa out and put Stinney in? And people say, well, then you're changing 2 spots. Stinney came in last year in the playoffs, and there was no drop-off. No drop-off whatsoever. Kappa has played tackle in college. I think he's played a little bit with the Bucs. To me, that early on in the week, that should have been your plan. And where was the hurry-up offense?
Certainly in hindsight, that might have been the way to go, right? Because Wells did struggle. And actually had to leave the game. We saw Nick Leverett at right tackle for a bit. So
what the hell?
I don't know. I think you can question the personnel
decision.
Tristan
Wirfs has torn ligaments in his ankle. How the hell did they think he was ever going to play this week? That should have been Monday when they got the MRI that he had torn ligaments. Okay, you're done. We're moving Kappa out. Let's get him ready.
Well, I think that was the case. I think that and they probably used some of that in practice. I think they might have used Kappa at practice just as a contingency plan, right? You have to make sure. But the thing is I think it was just gamesmanship with Wirfs. They knew I knew once the diagnosis was high ankle sprain, that's a 4 to 6 week injury.
Right.
I mean, I knew he was not playing. I said that on our podcast. Tristan Wirfs is not playing. And I think that they trotted him out there with the helmet on Friday for the media session to give everybody a chance to maybe make the Rams question, or maybe Wirfs is going to play. But I think the problem with the game plan was, and we saw some screen passes. I would have liked to have seen them gone back to that middle screen where Cam Brate dropped the ball.
Yeah,
I was
that was a touchdown.
I know Bruce Arians is not a fan of running plays again, but
that was a touchdown.
Try it. I mean, because the concept, all right, attacking the middle of the field with the screen was the right call, because the weakness of the Rams defense. So there's 2 inside linebackers, Reeder, and I forget the other guy's name, which tells me a lot because he's not very good.
Yeah.
But you've got to attack the weaknesses, and I just don't feel like they did a good job. And listen, Tyler Johnson just has been a huge letdown at the other receiver. So the Bucs were really playing with 2 guys, right? Mike Evans and Rob Gronkowski in that game. And if that's the case, then just go max protect, right? And just keep 2 guys in the block and only have 3 eligibles out there. And I almost think that's the better way to go, because Brady was pressured about 28 times, sacked 3 times, because there were too many times where they went 5, empty, and they put 5 eligibles out there. And I understand that, but the problem is when the eligibles are Rob Gronkowski, who is going to receive double coverage, and Mike Evans, who's going to get doubled. The other guy is Cam Brate, who can't separate anymore.
Yep.
Scotty Miller, who, despite his speed, has trouble separating sometimes underneath routes. Tyler Johnson, who separated. You're not doing Brady and favors.
Right.
So I don't know. Going up tempo, using a little bit more screen game. I would have loved to have seen Giovanni Bernard with some draws. to alleviate some pass rush pressure. Another thing you can do aside from screens is just open up the middle of the field, again, attack those inside linebackers. Bernard's got some quick burst to him. Maybe give him a couple of draw plays up the middle.
Yep.
I think that they just didn't do enough on offense. They just didn't empty the playbook out. Where's some of those end rounds with Scotty Miller's? Right?
Yes.
Where's the trick play?
Yeah. Where's anything creative? No jet sweeps. No, I mean, all of those things are things that you can do to slow down a pass rush.
Right.
And
I think the most creative thing. Yeah, the most creative thing was that tight end screen to Cam Brate. The problem is, okay, what's that going to get? 7 yards maybe? Brate's not the fleetest of foot guy, so right. I don't know. Maybe a jailbreak screen to Scotty Miller in the middle of the field that has got some more imagination and probably goes for more yards if it's caught. So I just didn't see a lot of imagination there. And listen, the narrative is that Bulls defense, brought the Bucs back, and Brady brought the Bucs back. No. There was some fluky forced fumbles, right? The Jamel Dean one was one. I mean, they're great plays. I'm not taking anything away from Dean, but it's like that wasn't a scripted. That wasn't Ty Bowles calling in. Jamel forced the fumble in this play.
Wasn't
right?
A pick.
It was just a player making a play. Right. And Ndamukong Suh with the hero play and Levante recovering it on the Cam Akers fumble.
Yep.
The Bucs had nothing to do with that, and it gives the ball in Tampa Bay territory. I mean, so Brady did have some very short fields to work with, and that's how the offense got going. But I mean, this Bucs offense couldn't drive 80 yards in the ramps.
No.
At no point did they do that.
No, you're right on all accounts. Scott Reynolds joining us here on Pewter Report. Listen, this just came out. I have to ask you about this. And we talked, about this turmoil comment that Levante David made. Bruce kind of brushed it off yesterday. Jordan Whitehead tweeted out at 10:02 this morning, should have been in during crunch time. Yeah. Yeah. Do you think there was turmoil other than the AB thing? What Levante said was eyebrow raising. Yeah. Where guys he said guys were bumping heads. There was a lot of turmoil. Yeah. What do you think?
There's no doubt. Well, I think a couple of things, and this is complete speculation, and I wish it wasn't. But we're living in COVID time.
Yeah,
I've not
talked to anybody. Yeah,
in the locker room, nor have you, nor has anybody. In 3 years now. Yeah, going to be 3 years in 2022. So we get these homogenized Zoom conference calls, right, where we can't pull guys aside and have off the record conversations like we used to. So this is just take it for what it is. This is pure speculation and conjecture on my part, but my educated guess is you've got three really, really good safeties, although Mike Edwards had a very terrible game.
Oh, he was awful
on Sunday, and I'm a big Mike Edwards guy.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, but when you've got three safeties that can play and two of them are on the field at one time, someone's going to be unhappy, right? And is that Edwards, right? When he's out there and he's like, I led the team in interceptions, and I'm a backup, right? I got 2 pick sixes this year, and I'm a backup, right? Is Jordan Whitehead, who's not on the field on the last play of the game and thinking, hey, I didn't blow the 70-yard touchdown, and I didn't, if I was out there, I could have tackled Cooper Kupp, right? On that 20-yard out. I think there's some of that. I think too, and listen, I think that Joe Tryon-Shoyinka is an absolute star in the making, and I think he's a very humble guy, willing to be coached. I don't think he has got a brash personality. I think he's a very good teammate. But I know there's people in that building that did not like to see the fact that he got 14 plays in that game, and Jason Pierre-Paul with an injury, that's so significant that he missed some time with that shoulder. Was out there, and listen, if he over the phone, that's great. If Jason, if Joe Tryon-Shoyinka was out there, I'm not saying he doesn't recover the fumble either. He maybe returns it for a touchdown.
Right.
Anthony Nelson might have recovered that. I mean, that was a fluky play and great, recovery by JPP. I'm not taking it away from him, but it wasn't like he forced it. And he did get half a sack, but there were plenty of times where against a backup tackle in Joe Noteboom, Jason Pierre-Paul was the invisible man.
Yeah.
And so Did he stunt the growth of Joe Tryon-Shoyinka by playing so much this year? Yes, he most certainly did.
Yep.
You know, and so I think that those were some of the things. And I think if you go back and look at Levante's comments, when you bring all 22 guys back, it's not going to be a cakewalk,
right?
Because you have guys that want players to move on so they can get some playing time, right? I mean, listen, you know, if Joe Tryon-Shoyinka and Anthony Nelson, do they want to see Joe or Jason Pierre-Paul come back? I'm sure they wouldn't mind that as a teammate, but they're certainly not going to cry about it if he's gone. It just means more playing time for them.
Exactly.
Right? And that's normal. That's natural.
And I think there are multiple moves that you can make. You mentioned Cordell Patterson. I think JPP. I think there's a lot of ways you can improve this football team. A lot of ways.
Yeah.
So I think that's got to be part of the presentation to Brady. But I just
actually, but
go ahead.
Actually, by the way, too, Ronald Jones. I mean, he was a malcontent all year.
Yeah.
Yep. You know. I mean, this was not the contract year he envisioned for sure.
He brought that upon himself. He brought that upon himself.
Of course he did. Yeah. You know, in his mind, he was 22 yards away from 1,000 yards in 2020, right? And then he got hurt, and then he saw playoff Lenny emerge, and then he fumbles in the Cowboys game, and that's all she wrote.
Yeah.
But like you said, he brought that upon himself by not being better on third down. As a pass protector, where he was abysmal and never got better, and he wasn't a reliable receiver. And Tom Brady just didn't want him out there because, you know, if you're going to get Brady sacked and if you're not going to catch the ball, then why play with 10 on offense on third down?
Right.
What I mean by 10 is 10 players.
Now, this team needs a little bit of influx of some new faces and some new blood.
It does.
But it has a core that is, you know, very Lightning-esque. You know, you got the best goalie, you know, Tom Brady quarterback. You've got the best, you know, you've got the best defenseman, I think, out there in Levante David and some of the defenders, Vita Vea, the defenseman. I mean, this defense can be better, no doubt about it. They can bring some people in.
Actually, JP, you mentioned Vita Vea.
Yeah.
Right. And here's the beef I have with Todd Bowles.
Again,
if you're going to pay Vita Vea $17 million and he's going to play less than half the snaps,
that's ridiculous.
What are you doing?
Yeah. That's ridiculous.
What are you doing?
And why is he not in? Why is Sue and Vita Vea not in on 3rd and goal from the 1 yard line on an obvious sneak situation? They don't. Matthew Stafford does not sneak that ball if Vita Vea and Ndamukong Suh are in that game. They got to do something else.
I agree.
How are they not in the game? What are we doing?
And his personnel decisions and deployments. I'm with you on that. You know, and I think my last thought on the game is, it's unfortunate if this game had gone to overtime. You know, I think the Bucs' chances of winning are 50-50.
Yeah,
I mean,
get the coin toss. 10-1 and overtime.
Right? Yeah, but if they get past the Rams, I thought, looking at the lay of the land, that this was the Saints game in the divisional round last year.
Yep.
Which is when they beat the Saints, I knew they were going to win the Super Bowl. I just knew it. Like I picked them to lose to the Saints. They actually beat the Saints. And then I knew they would go up to Green Bay and win, and I knew they'd beat Kansas City or Buffalo in the Super Bowl. And I kind of felt that way this year. I felt if they got by the Rams in this game, they could beat the 49ers in Tampa, go to LA, and either beat the Chiefs or the Bengals.
Yeah,
I just felt 100%. Like that was the hill to climb. If they beat the Rams at home, that I would have liked their chances to win the Super Bowl and go back to back.
And
and it's a shame that they didn't.
In 42 seconds with no timeouts, the Rams got a 30-yard field goal. And that's that's not acceptable. And it's not.
No, it's not.
On so many levels. All right, my friend. This is going to be a very, very interesting offseason. So it's not like Pewter Report is going anywhere. So tell the folks what kind of content you guys got going on and what you got for the offseason.
We actually set a record yesterday. We had 17 stories on pewterreport.com.
Nice.
17 stories, a major traffic. If you've not been to pewterreport.com lately, be sure you go there today. We've got some fresh stories up. I've got my 2-point conversion column, which just posted, as well as some more content coming. So listen, the off season, Pewter Report, that's our territory. We cover this team in free agency, the draft. We're going to be having our reporters Alabama for the Senior Bowl coverage, which starts up next week. And then we're right into free agency and the draft. So make sure you visit pewterreport.com. Follow us on social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Pewter Report. And then also check out our YouTube channel, Pewter Report TV. We've got podcasts starting next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 4 o'clock, 4 days a week with our podcasts. So we have a podcast tomorrow. That's Pewter Report TV. And we invite you all to subscribe. We're growing our podcast numbers exponentially, and check it out. It's some pretty good content. You can catch it live at 4 o'clock on Pewter Report TV on our YouTube channel, or you can always just watch the archived podcast at your leisure.
That's the way to go, folks. It's the wave of the future. You don't have to wait for the radio show to come on. It's all on podcast. It's all streaming, folks, and it's
on demand.
On demand, and it's really, really knowledgeable people talking about the Bucs, the best in the business. Appreciate you, Scotty. Hope you'll stay with us and keep coming on. We'd love to have you.
Let's do it, man. Looking forward to it every Tuesday.
Sounds good.
Right.
Great,
Take care,
Scott
JP.
Reynolds.
Thanks.
We will take a break, and when we just whole half hour right there with Scotty, he gives us that's just great stuff. It's phenomenal stuff. All right, we will take a break. We'll come back. TJ Reeves is going to join us at 11:15. We'll have a little short segment here. We'll get to some of the other news around the NFL, and there is a lot. And what the hell's going on with Jordan Whitehead? Stay with us. The PGA Tour's Valspar Championship is back in March in 2022, March 14th through the 20th, right in the middle of the best weather of the year and the last stop on the Florida swing. The Valspar has become one of the must-do events on the Tampa Bay sports and social calendar, so get your best tickets before they sell out. The game's biggest stars love the Copperhead course at Innisbrook. Last year, we saw Dustin Johnson, Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth. Wow, the crowds, and another star-studded field is expected again this year. Sam Burns took the title and will defend again at the Copperhead. This will be a full tournament with the return of Valspar Live, our free Saturday concert featuring Chris Young and Big and Rich, and other amenities including Chameleon Cove, the Hooters Owl's Nest, the Publix Chill Lounge, and other hospitality venues. Go to ValsparChampionship.com for tickets. The best premium hospitality areas will sell out, so don't wait. That's ValsparChampionship.com.
Are you selling your home or refinancing? JP here for Greenleaf Title. You choose the title company, not the realtor, and it makes a difference. You want a reputable company that will make sure your title is safe and secure. There are a lot of scammers out there right now, so go with a trusted company like Greenleaf Title. Plus, they will close anywhere, folks, and they will send a limo to pick you up to come to the closing. Yep, the great JP Limo Closing is back. All you got to do is give them a call at 727-258-6005. Go to greenleaftitle.com. We'll set up the limo for you. They'll come pick you up. Heck, we even picked up one couple, took them to Black Rock Restaurant, one of our favorite advertisers, and then to the closing. That's how they do it at Greenleaf Title. Great service. We'll close anywhere. The lowest fees in the business. 727-258-6005 or go to greenleaftitle.com. That's greenleaftitle.com. Who wants free mobile service? I do. And you can get 30 gigs a month from companies like AT&T Service, T-Mobile. Great service. Keep your number and get free mobile service. It's part of the emergency broadband benefit from the stimulus bill. 87% of America qualifies. So if you think you make too much money or whatever, just go to jpcares.info and find out. It'll take you a few minutes. jpcares.info to find out if you qualify for free cell service. Get it now before it's all used up.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
All right. Welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the law offices of Christopher Palermo. We are also brought to you by, in the second hour, the Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Christopher Lugo and his team over there will get you right. They do not subscribe to the one-pill-fits-all strategy. Everything is personalized. Personalized medicine, by the way, is the wave of the future. So if you're looking for a new primary care physician, Christopher Lugo and the folks at Bay Area Modern Medical Center are the way to go. If you're interested in testosterone replacement, which I've been doing for 5 years now, and it is a complete game changer, guys, complete game changer. But Christopher Lugo and his team do it in a very, very different way. Everything is personalized. Everything is monitored. And they also pay attention to your emotional stability. You know, hormones change you emotionally when you do hormone therapy. So you have to be very cognizant of that. A lot of places are not. And that's a big deal. It's a really big deal, folks. So Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com is where you go. Check them out. Give them a call. Get a free consultation and find out how they can make you a healthier, better life. That's BAMMC.com. All right, a couple things we need to get to. The Times, you know how I love the Times, are spreading more misinformation about the ballpark situation. Today, Charlie Frago did a story. The Rays are back to square one in their ballpark search. Where do you stand? Okay, they are not back to square one, folks. This is a false narrative. The Rays have been in intense negotiations with the city of Tampa and Hillsborough County for that Ybor Stadium and that site for over a year. And Ken Hagan told us that the other day, February of 2020. They had the best meeting they've ever had. They promised to put in half, and this was when they were, talking about getting that Ybor Stadium done. So they're going right back to that. It's like Tampa or the city of, or Hillsborough County is scrapping that plan. They're not doing that. They're going to give that to the Rays here in the first quarter, and that's a plan that's going to look at probably, from what we can glean from what Hagan told us the other day, it's a $900 to $1 billion commitment from both sides. And I think the way they see it, and this is very, very simplistic, breaking it down, is $350 from the city of Tampa, Hillsborough County, $350 from the Rays, which they committed to the quote boutique ballpark, and then another $200 to $300 million in naming rights, which is what these particular stadium naming rights are going for these days. So that's very doable money, and that's a very doable situation. I mean, Ken Hagan has been very upfront that they are willing and able to get to that $350 million mark. I think the mayor is very interested in doing that as well. They've had a lot more time now to come up with these more creative financing situations for public financing. And I believe him when he says that the money is there. Now, this idea that it's going to be a $1.2 billion stadium, I don't see that. I don't see, the only person that's floated that is John Romano, and I don't even know what that's based on. So they're doing, the Times wrote the story today. The demise of Tampa Bay's split season plan wasn't mourned by many around the Bay Area, but lots of questions remain. With owner Stu Sternberg suggesting the team is back to ground zero, which he did suggest. Our thought to readers might want to weigh in on their opinions. Question marks. Where should the Rays play? So they're going to do a Tampa Bay Times survey. Let me see if I can get this right here. Okay, how much do you care if the Rays stay in Tampa Bay? I think obviously that's going to be pretty high. Where should the team play? They give you Ybor City, Al Lang, Tropicana Field, or Derby Lane, somewhere else in the Bay Area. I don't know how many times we have to continue to say this, but I mean, in the Times itself, they did a story months ago, and I'm trying to remember which St. Pete commissioner it was, but it had been talking to the Rays, and they said that the Rays are focused on Ybor City, that they cannot build in Pinellas County. And we told you that Major League Baseball is not going to allow them to build in Pinellas County. That is a failed model for the population situation. Again, there's only 670,000 people within a 30-minute drive of downtown St. Petersburg. And despite Shadow of the Stadium and Noah Pransky and all these people telling me that I'm making up facts, I'm not making up facts when it comes to the population numbers. All right, currently there is 1.95 million people within a 30-minute drive of downtown Tampa. Projections are, and Ken Hagan told us the other day, that another 400,000 to 500,000 people will be living in Hillsborough County alone in the next 5 years when the stadium will finally be built. So everybody in Hillsborough County will be within a 30-minute drive. So you're looking at 2.4 million people or more, because the 30-minute drive extends outside of Hillsborough County. So you're looking at 2.5 million people as opposed to, let's say, at best, 800,000 people with growth in St. Petersburg at best. That's 3 times more people. 3 times. That's not a made-up number, by the way. I just gave you the facts. That's 3 times as many people. So, no, Al Lang. Al Lang? Are you serious? Get in and out of that place. You're going to put 1,000 people in Al Lang. This is just stupid. Tropicana Field? No, it's not happening. Derby Lane? No. The numbers are a little bit better at Derby Lane, but no. It's just ridiculous. Major League Baseball wants and has always intended the park to be in downtown Tampa. Okay? So all this other stuff is just it's lack of focus, and it's just stupid, quite frankly. How should the next new ballpark look? Next gen, traditional, bare bones. Oh, yeah, that's all. Let's vote for bare bones. A dome, retractable roof, transparent fixed roof that allows grass to grow. Yep, that sounds good. What share should the Rays pay for a new stadium? Half, less than half, all of it, none of it are your choices. What should be taxed to pay for a new ballpark? Check that apply. Property owners, no. Tourists, yes. Consumers, yes. No, that should be no. What are the chances the Rays leave for another city? Very good, not likely they're staying. I say it's not likely. They're not going anywhere. And Major League Baseball is not leaving this market. They have too much invested in it. How many games do you attend each year? Blah, blah, blah. How many games would you attend if the Rays played in Tampa? It'll be interesting to see what this survey says. Although I don't trust the Times to run it whatsoever. I wish they would get an independent company to do it. But whatever. We'll see what comes of this. Look, I think we can all agree that from social media and some of the other polls we've seen, I think it was the Tampa Bay Business Journal did a poll, 73% were for no sister city plan, and 85 to 90% people think it should be in downtown Tampa. It's obvious. So and if Stu goes back to square one, that's just posturing. It's a negotiating ploy. It's disingenuous, which is right up his alley. So I don't doubt that he will, but it's a farce. It's a farce. We're going to call it a farce, and there's just no need for it. And I wish Major League Baseball would step in and just get this right and stop letting Stu Sternberg work us like he thinks he's going to work us. It's just silly. He tried it with the sister city plan, was doomed from the start, and now we're going to go through this bull crap. Just focus on Ebor and get the damn deal done. Like I asked you to do in the Zoom conference, and you lied. You lied. You said you did it 3 years ago. You did not. You didn't even come close. So if you're still lying about that, I mean, what is wrong with this guy? What I don't want to make it personal, but why does he just keep putting out these false narratives? It's frustrating. He's done it from the very beginning. We're not making any money. Everything we get, we're going to put back into the team. Lie, lie, lie. I know, Matt Silverman, you've asked me not to tell him a lie. Tell him stop lying. Okay? That would be, the first thing we do. Just be honest with the people, for God's sakes. Is it that hard? Call Jeffrey Vinnick. He'll let you know how to do it. All right, quick break. When we come back, TJ Reeves will join us, and we'll talk some more Bucs football and the future of this organization. Stay with us.
Attention home buyers or refinance candidates. It is a great time to purchase or refinance. Home values are going through the roof right now. You've got so much equity, time to tap into that equity, get the cash, and make sure you're making the right financial decisions in your life. Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services in Tampa can help you out on all those fronts. I've known Fitz for over 30 years. He's done 3 of my mortgages. In fact, Scott has done over 3,000 loans in the Tampa Bay area for many of our coaches, athletes, from Bucks to Bulls. And he can save you big money. AMS is a wholesale broker. They will shop your loan to dozens of banks and let them compete for your business. Quick story, one listener had a done deal with a big national mortgage company who was promising a 2.75 interest rate. Well, when it came time to lock in, it was 3.25. Emailed Scott, got in the actual 2.75, saved him over $3,000 in first-year payments and $2,200 in lender's fees. Email him, Scott.
Great service. Keep your number and get free mobile service. It's part of the emergency broadband benefit from the stimulus bill. 87% of America qualifies. So if you think you make too much money or whatever, just go to jpcares.info and find out. It'll take you a few minutes. jpcares.info to find out if you qualify for free cell service. Get it now before it's all used up.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's rock. This is FanStream Sports with JP.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, presented by the law offices of Christopher Palermo. And our second hour presented by Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com, for a new type of healthcare. All right, joining us now, the great TJ Rives. We've got the seasoned veterans on the show today. We just had Scott Reynolds, now the great TJ Rives, myself. That's like a century of Bucs coverage right here on your radio and your streaming service here. What's up, TJ? How are you, my friend?
Are you making me out to be 75 years old, if that's the case?
No, if you combine our coverage time of the Buccaneers, you're well over 75, almost approaching 100. That's just, hey, listen, that's just season. We're just seasoned vets, you know.
I like this.
No,
I like this. We're used to a lot of bad football.
Yeah.
We're used to seeing a lot of bad football over the last 25, 30 years, but now it has gotten really good, and this is why it's so much more disappointing than, you know, with what happened on Sunday when it happens, and the finality of the season is over in the postseason. That's been a rare thing because, again, we've gotten to enjoy 2 Super Bowl wins and then had a whole lot of years of where you're not even in the playoffs, so the season is over at the end of the regular season, and you knew that was coming, and you knew you weren't making the playoffs. So it was tough, obviously, for everybody to deal with, and a lot of emotions Sunday night. And it is now kind of all sunk in that it's done, and now we move on to the next steps, which I'm sure you're going to want to talk about. Does Tom Brady come back, and what does that mean for the rest of the roster if he does or if he doesn't? So let all of that debate begin. As I was kind of waiting to go on here, I was thinking about this part of it. There was so much anticipation for the NFC title game to be played here, obviously at Raymond James Stadium. I just wonder if the Tampa Bay television rating will now nosedive instead of not watching the Rams and the 49ers. Who knows?
It's going to be hard to watch the Rams. By the way, quick aside, at 11:35, Tracy West, tournament director at the Valspar Championship, is going to join us with breaking news. We have another huge commitment. I'm looking at it right now. This is a big deal, and she's got some other things to break news on. So she'll join us at 11:35.
That is a Hall of Fame tease on a Tuesday morning, right there. So we need to wrap up our business quickly.
No, we got good amount of time here to do our stuff. So first and foremost, TJ, I want us to relive. I mean, as we sit here, it hurts. We lost the game. I get it. Bucs lost the game, but man, for about a quarter and 3 minutes. That was the most incredible comeback I think I've ever witnessed in football. I mean, just from one moment to the next, that snap, the fumble, the Cooper Kupp fumble, the Akers fumble. I mean, everything fell into place. The big play to Mike Evans, the Fournette run. I mean, geez, Jiminy Christmas. And I'm in the hermetically sealed press box, and I can feel the energy. Describe the energy out there. You've been here. We're going to tap into your seasoned veteranness here. Compared to the biggest moments at Raymond James Stadium, to me, that quarter was just incredible.
I agree. I believe that when the strip fumble happened with Sue knocking it out on the Cam Akers fumble and you got the ball back, that is the loudest that I have ever been part of in that stadium. And keep in mind, the only other playoff reference points in that stadium, full capacity, everybody going berserk. You got to go back to the playoff losses to the Giants and the Redskins in 07 and 08 seasons. There was nothing like that those days. Nothing like that in the second half with the game on the line. The 49er win in 02, which we've discussed on your show.
Yeah.
Bonkers, berserk. That was the only home playoff game, though, out of that year because it was at the Vet in Philly the next week.
Right.
So in terms of the 99 divisional game with the Redskins, and you were here in the market at the point. I was not here for that game because I was doing USF Bulls basketball on the road. But I do know from those that have been there, and you were there, that was loud and berserk, especially when John Lynch intercepted the ball in the second half and they got in the end zone. But I can only testify to what I've been part of. over the past 20 years, that was the loudest it's ever been. When that moment happened, it was almost earth-shaking.
Yep.
That's how loud it was. And my mentality was down there, get in the end zone right here, and you're going to win this thing in overtime.
Yep.
Unfortunately, you left a little too much time for the Rams, and they did what they did. But, I mean, just like what we saw with Mahomes Sunday night, that if you give him time and the opportunity, he's going to win it. And I had the same feeling with Tom Brady standing down there after what we had witnessed in that fourth quarter.
You know what's interesting is, I said this at the time, when on the 4th and 1, that was, remember they go and look at the play on Brady. It was so obvious that Brady got the first down on there. That was a horrible spot. That officiating crew was just awful the whole day long. You might be able to chime in on that a little bit. But I thought, and then Sean McVay called the timeout right there on that 4th and 1. I mean, the Bucs were a little discombobulated. They weren't sure where and then they line up and it looks, they're taking away the quarterback sneak, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh crap, what are we going to do? Are we going to hurry up and run a play and get stuffed? And then he calls the timeout. I'm like, oh my God, he called timeout. He let us get settled. And then Fournette scores. I'm like, oh my God, that was the worst timeout ever. He is going to get skewered. But you know what? That timeout saved time. I mean, it just, when the clock may have been stopped, but whatever. I was, in my God, it just flips in such two Cooper Kupp catches and boom, it's over. Man.
Well, I thought it was interesting because, again, Tom Brady talked to the media after the game, but he revealed a lot more, what a surprise, on his own Let's Go podcast last night. And Jim Gray put the question to him, and I thought it was a very good question, that when they screwed that spot up and didn't give you a first down right away, that meant you were in the must-score-now mode with the clock running, etc. But when you have a step back, if it is a first down, you realize we want to score, but we can basically kill the rest of the clock.
That's right.
As we score here on first or second down, and then there's no time left, then it is overtime.
That's right.
Play. So that was a key sequence there when they botched that whole thing. I'm saying on Buccaneers radio, there's no way the nose of that ball is on the 9-yard line. Even on the replay, he's down by the 8. And then, of course, they announce the call stands, and Sean Hockley runs right up to the football and moves it 2 feet forward towards the 8-yard line.
What a kangaroo court. I mean, what the hell?
It was crazy. It was crazy at the end of the game. That was not the only thing that decided the game, but it certainly was a factor at the end sequence of can you kill the clock and get the game to overtime. And I use this word on the Bucs Recap podcast on Nothing But Bucs. It was inexcusable. It is inexcusable. It is forever inexcusable that you let Cooper Kupp run right down the middle of the defense with the game on the line. Obviously, that will haunt right now Todd Bowles and that secondary and this team until they get a chance to maybe make up for it in a future scenario. And who knows if Todd Bowles is still here? Does he get a head coaching job or whatever? It's one thing if they pull it off, but to pull it off in that manner where he runs right through the middle of the defense, and credit the Rams, they protected Stafford enough. He saw him. He put the pass right where Cooper Kupp could make the play. Give them credit. But how is he that wide open in that situation when you should be playing deep safety and you let him run right by you?
Terrible call.
That's inexcusable. That's the word that you have to use. That cannot happen. And it's the biggest reason why the Bucs are at home watching the NFC title game.
Well, it's bad enough that you go zero blitz. It's a terrible call. I mean, but to have Winfield one-on-one with Cooper Kupp, that's a dream scenario for the Rams. A dream scenario. And they did get pressure, by the way. Sue was untouched up the middle. He was untouched. They blew the protection, and he's coming right at Matthew Stafford. But the fact that we showed the blitz was coming was an easy read, and he sees that it's Kupp on Winfield, and Winfield standing still 10 yards away. I mean, that was as easy a read. Now, the throw was tough. You got Sue barreling down, and you throw off your back foot 40 yards and drop it in the bucket. I mean, Jiminy Christmas. Matthew Stafford showed me something. I mean, you got to tip your cap to that.
He did.
Yeah.
And again, I know we're belaboring that specific play, but there's obviously confusion from Mike Edwards underneath, and Mike didn't have his best game. He'd be the first one to admit that because he got beat deep on the Kupp play in the first half. That should never happen on 3rd and 19, especially when they've done it to you earlier in the year on a bomb to Deshaun Jackson, the same offense, the same kind of play call. but Mike jumped inside on the guy inside of Kupp, and I think that's what momentarily confused Antoine Winfield. I'm not a secondary coach. Todd Bowles would have to answer for it as to what exactly was the coverage and who was responsible. But that's why Winfield froze for a second.
Yeah.
Was Bowles?
Yeah.
Edwards jumped in front of him to get the guy in front of him, and Cooper Kupp ran straight past Mike Edwards coming inside of him, and Winfield's got that oh crap moment. Oh crap, he's running by me now. I got to run and chase him. So credit the Rams. That was not the only play, but that was obviously the biggest play at the end of the game that got them into field goal range, and we should not underestimate. They had a task to get all the flabby offensive linemen, as I like to say, up off the ground and go run 60, 70 yards down to the 20-yard line and get the clock stopped, which they were able to do, which they obviously practice.
Yep.
So that was one last great play from them. But you're right. They were in a free fall. They had blown a 27-6 lead, the largest Buccaneer comeback in a playoff game ever. 24-point comeback, obviously, to get the game tied. And if you could have just gotten Tom Brady one more chance, he would have done what Patrick Mahomes did, and we would be in the NFC title game this week.
100% agree.
There's the regrets on a Tuesday, brother.
100% agree. All right, in a minute, tell me if Tom Brady's coming back.
I believe it's unfinished business.
I do too.
I believe he will be back. I believe the roster will largely be intact. I don't think he wants to go out on a loss to Matthew Stafford any more than he went out on a loss in New England to Ryan Tannehill and the Titans in his final game there and wanted to keep playing. Again, if he was not healthy, if he was not throwing for 5,000 yards and 40-plus touchdowns, there would be arguments as to why he can't come back and still succeed. No one has a crystal ball on can he stay healthy for the full 2022 season, but I believe he comes back. And I think Gronk will be back, and I think most of the roster, a lot of the roster, will be back, and he realizes the competitor in him, I don't want to leave it there with losing to the Rams and Stafford at home. I want to get back in the big game, and I want to try it one more time. So I think it may take some time. It may take a week or two here, but I think you'll hear an announcement from him. I want to be back. And the Bucs have got to know that answer because of what else they're going to have to do to try to get another quarterback with Kyle Trask, et cetera, if he's not coming back. But I don't think you're going to have to worry about that, brother.
All right, my friend. Great stuff. I agree with you. I think it's going to be the last dance. Get the camera rolling. It's going to be something to behold, baby. Put the band back together one more time and let him go out triumphantly. Will they win a Super Bowl? Who knows? But I think I'm with you. My gut says, even though I hear everything he's saying, my gut says he's coming back. So I'm with you. All right, partner. Great stuff as always. Thank you so much all season long. You've been awesome. Our fans love listening to you and hearing your perspective. So it's going to be interesting offseason. So we're going to keep calling you. So
yes, stay in touch with me and Buck fans. I know it hurts, but hey, you had a 13-win season. You won a playoff game.
Awesome.
You've got a roster with a lot of stuff on it, and I believe Mr. Brady will be back. So we'll keep our chin up here as we go along. And now I'm anxious to hear the announcement with Tracy West and the Valspar coming. An excellent tease. I love it.
Stay tuned. Tracy West coming up next with breaking news. Big name at its Valspar. Stay with us.
The PGA Tour's Valspar Championship is back in March in 2022, March 14th through the 20th, right in the middle of the best weather of the year and the last stop on the Florida swing. The Valspar has become one of the must-do events on the Tampa Bay sports and social calendar, so get your best tickets before they sell out. The game's biggest stars love the Copperhead course in Innisbrook. Last year we saw Dustin Johnson, Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth. Wow, the crowds, and another star-studded field is expected again this year. Sam Burns took the title and will defend again at the Copperhead. This will be a full tournament with the return of Valspar Live, our free Saturday concert featuring Chris Young and Big and Rich, and other amenities including Chameleon Cove, the Hooters Owl's Nest, the Publix Chill Lounge, and other hospitality venues. Go to ValsparChampionship.com for tickets. The best premium hospitality areas will sell out, so don't
The folks at DeFiLava.com are in Tampa Bay, and they work with you directly to set up custom accounts, answer all your questions, and provide market analysis. Decentralized finance and cryptocurrencies are here to stay and will change the financial markets as we know them. Get in the game. Get with the experts at DeFiLava.com and tell them JP sent you, and get their free 2022 crypto market forecast today at DeFiLava.com. Don't get left behind, folks. Make some money at DeFiLava.com.
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the law offices of Christopher Palermo. Our second hour brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Christopher Lugo and his team will get you right with a new type of personalized medicine. That's Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BMM.com. All right, we have breaking news. The great Tracy West, tournament director at the Valspar Championship, joining us live from the West Coast, beautiful San Diego with Torrey Pines, where they will be playing this week. Tracy, how are you this great morning?
I'm excellent, JP. Having a great day for sure.
Oh, I bet you are. I bet you are. Well, without further ado, give us the big announcement. Who's next on the Wheel of Valspar Championship to add their name to the list?
Yeah, it is kind of like the Wheel of Valspar Championship. Number 2 in the world, Colin Morakawa will be making his first appearance on the Copperhead. We are absolutely thrilled. He committed.
That is awesome. The reigning Open champion, Ryder Cup superstar, went 3-0-1 at the Ryder Cup. Emerging player, already has 5 wins on tour, 2 majors. This guy is just, he's simply put, one of the best players on the planet. How exciting to get him to come here and the rest of the guys in the field. This is turning out just as you thought.
Yeah, absolutely. We're thrilled to have Colin. He's not only such a great player, obviously, but just a really nice young man too. Just incredibly gracious with his time and with the fans and so forth, and just a really good human, right?
Yes,
we had him a couple of years ago, call into one of our Copperhead events virtually during the pandemic. Did a really nice Q&A, and he's just a really nice young man and someone really want to root for. So we're thrilled to see what he can do on the Copperhead, and he makes us now. We've got 5 out of the top 13 in the world so far, and we're not done yet. Yeah, there's going to be a lot more committing. Dustin Johnson, number 4, is in. Xander Schauffele last week will be making his Valspar debut. Louis Oosthuizen, number 12, and number 13, Sam Burns, who is the defending champion, who will also be headlining your media day coming up as well. Tell us a little bit about that. Yeah, absolutely. We're really excited to have him come in. So we've got a media day on February 28th, and he's going to come in and join us that day and do some really fun stuff. He's going to not only obviously do a Q&A with media, but he's going to try and help 10 Copperheads break the Guinness Book of World Records for the most simultaneous consecutive putts made. So it's basically 10 Copperheads. Yeah, 10 Copperheads are going to line up, and they each, take their putty back at the same time, and they're in a line, and it's kind of fun. And you try and see each ball go in, one right after another. And we tried it a couple of years ago, and we actually got 7 out of 10 to go. I remember it. So it was very funny. It was very funny. It was a great visual, very funny, very well done. Yeah, so Sam's going to coach them, and then he's also going to be pretty fun. Long drive champion Maurice Allen is going to come in town as well, and he and Sam and Rondé Barber, our general chair, are going to film a scratch video where they're going to be hitting balls into paint-filled balloons and making a piece of artwork that we're going to probably give to Tampa General Hospital. So awesome. That'll be fun too. So it'll be great to have Sam here. That's about the only way Rondé could do anything artistic with a golf club in his hand. That's I can't wait to see what that turns out to be. Well, this is turning out to be just an incredible tournament. I mean, no restrictions this year. You got all the stuff back that you normally have, and I think you have some more announcements for us as well, or just tell us what's new and or just coming back this year. Yeah, I mean, certainly, no restrictions. We're building everything back to normal. So all our fun, different fan seating areas, like the Chill Lounge and the Michelob Ultra Club, and we've got a new wine deck and margarita deck, and lots of fun things happening, on the course. And then we even have a new Celebrity Cruises fan deck that's going to be built on the 10th tee. So a lot of fun areas for people to be, a lot of great drink and food, of course. And then the Valspar live concert will be back. So we're excited. Yeah, excited Saturday night to have headliner Chris Young, who is a huge country music superstar, headlining, as well as special guests Big and Rich.
They're so fun. That's going to be a great concert. It's going to be tremendous. Saturday ticket, folks.
Absolutely.
You got to get that Saturday ticket. It's included. If you've never been to that concert, you walk right across the street to the driving range, which is this nice natural amphitheater that has, kind of goes up the hill, and the stage is there. It's a beautiful night. It's so much fun. It's a great day. So I'm very much looking forward to that as well. ValsparChampionship.com is where you get your tickets. And you're expecting, when do like a lot of the commitments come in? Like typically the month before? Is it the 2 weeks before? When will we get more announcements, you think?
Yeah, usually about a month out. So in another couple weeks, they'll keep coming in strong, and there's still some big guys on the hopeful. Put it this way, I've got some other good verbals. I just got to make it real and make that commitment. So we're excited. The field's going to continue to strengthen, and it could be. We'll see where it shakes out, but it could be one of our best, if not the best, we've ever had.
Awesome, Tracy West joining us here. Tournament director of Valspar Championship. Now, take us behind the curtain a little bit, if you would. I know you can't tell us everything, but so you're out at the Farmers at San Diego, and you're recruiting. This is what tournament directors do. You go out and you're one of the best in the business at it because by our field. But this is how this works. Tournament directors go out and you build your relationships over the years, which you've done brilliantly, and you talk to these guys and you try to get them to commit. So do you have like an elevator pitch, or do you do you do research and have certain hot buttons that you go to talk to these guys about? Give us the Tracy West inside scoop on how you get so many great players to come to Innisbrook.
Yeah, it's really an individual, customized approach, right? You have to know and understand, their schedules. So you spend a lot of time chatting with their managers and agents, understanding, what it is that they're thinking. And then you use that in your conversations, with the individual players. So, you can talk about, hey, I understand you're thinking this, or you've got, your brother's wedding is, 2 weeks before, so you kind of trying to get some inside scoop on what they may play. And that helps you in your conversations. And then you have to know and understand, if it's a guy that typically plays the Copperhead, that's a different sort of approach. You're just letting them know, hey, we're here for you. If there's anything you need, we hope you'll be committing again, versus if it's a guy that hasn't played before, you're really trying to talk about the course itself, how it might set up, well for their game, the other amenities, that we have around, for their families and so forth. So it's really each conversation is customized, and it's a lot of fun, and you're certainly going after, the biggest, most prominent names that you can, but you have to make sure that, every player feels important, because everyone is, and you want every single guy in the 144 that can play to play.
Right.
So, and a lot of it is too, just figuring out, the new guys that are on tour, if they haven't played, if we haven't had our tournament yet, and they're not typically on TV a lot, it's like, oh my gosh, who is that guy again? So it's, some of it is just learning the new guys too.
Tracy West joining us here. So what are some of the amenities that you tout? I know the family thing is big with a lot of guys, because you have a resort right there, obviously, and you have the pool, a lot of them live in sometimes cold climates. So is that kind of like your ace in the hole? Like, hey, come on down, spring break here in beautiful Florida. Come bring your family. We'll put you up in a nice villa. Is that part of it?
Absolutely. The resort, Innisbrook, is a great resort, with all the different pools and tennis and all the things, the spa right on site. I mean, all the different restaurants right on site. So that's certainly an attraction. But we talk about, the Clearwater beaches, Honeymoon Island Beach, Busch Gardens, the aquariums, not only in Tampa, and in Clearwater, both aquariums. We talk about all the different things, and then we've got tickets for all of those things for them.
Oh, awesome.
And so forth. So, so we really try and make it, a family experience.
So can you tell us one story? You don't have to mention the golfer's name, but if there's one thing that you did, kind of pat yourself on the back here, because people love these inside scoop stories. Is there one thing you did, like you threw in that you knew would be a hot button, and the guy went, "Oh yeah, okay, I'm in." You got any good stories like that?
We certainly, sometimes we'll have paint as a conversation. So if they need a great deal on paint, or,
Come on.
a huge,
that's going to sound like, hey, we can get your house painted with some nice Valspar. Seriously?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
See?
You have to use what you have access to.
That's awesome. See, that's what I was looking for. That's a gem right there. Woo! Paint your house with somebody to come in the tournament. That's awesome. All right. Anything else you want to add? I'm getting so excited about this tournament. I know you are too, to get everything back to normal, and your field is rounding into great shape. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, just so again, a reminder of ticket sales at ValsparChampionship.com. Not only grounds tickets, but we have pit hopper tickets, which is a higher end hospitality ticket, and then certainly the Hooters Owl's Nest, which is a favorite. So get tickets, and then we're still looking for some volunteers in some key areas.
Okay.
So if folks really want to get involved and they want to volunteer on certain committees, it's a great opportunity. You get 2 week long, not only your volunteer badge, but a guest badge for the week as well. Parking, et cetera. So it's a great deal. So we're still looking for some volunteers too.
Yeah. So, and I'll reiterate that you get a guest badge, you get your volunteer badge, so you can come back when you're not working. You get parking, and a bunch of other fun stuff. You get your shirt and everything. It's a great deal. If you're a golf fan, you're going to get up close and personal and see some really cool stuff. So volunteering is a great way to do it. So I love this tournament because it's, not only has it been here for a while now, but it's just really become an absolute must. No Grand Prix the same weekend. I mean, it's setting up to be incredible. I'm so looking forward to it, Tracy. So thank you so much for allowing us to break the news and all that good stuff. So we can't wait to hear who's next, and we'll have you on next week.
Sounds great, JP.
And enjoy my favorite city other than Tampa, San Diego. Just beautiful. Have a great time
I
out
will.
there.
It's beautiful out here. I'm staring out at Torrey Pines and the ocean as we speak.
You're making me jealous. All right, thanks. I'll be out there in a little bit though for the Super Bowl. So at least I'll get to see San Diego once again. Thanks, Tracy. We'll talk later. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
All right. I guess I kind of let that slip out. I was going to do that for the big, the final segment here, our big announcement on Super Bowl. But I guess we'll do that when we come back. Quick break. We got some programming announcements for you folks, and we'll get to some of the other stories. The Baseball Hall of Fame, last chance for Bonds and Clemens to get in. Are they going to get in? No.
Attention home buyers or refinance candidates. It is a great time to purchase or refinance. Home values are going through the roof right now. You've got so much equity, time to tap into that equity, get the cash, and make sure you're making the right financial decisions in your life. Scott Fitzgerald and American Mortgage Services in Tampa can help you out on all those fronts. I've known Fitz for over 30 years. He's done 3 of my mortgages. In fact, Scott has done over 3,000 loans in the Tampa Bay area for many of our coaches, athletes, from Bucks to Bulls. And he can save you big money. AMS is a wholesale broker. They will shop your loan to dozens of banks and let them compete for your business. Quick story, one listener had a done deal with a big national mortgage company, was promising a 2.75 interest rate. Well, when it came time to lock in, it was 3.25. Emailed Scott, got him the actual 2.75, saved him over $3,000 in first-year payments and $2,200 in lender's fees. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, scott@amstampa.com.
Who wants free mobile service? I do, and you can get 30 gigs a month from companies like AT&T Service, T-Mobile. Great service. Keep your number and get free mobile service. It's part of the emergency broadband benefit from the stimulus bill. 87% of America qualifies. So if you think you make too much money or whatever, just go to jpcares.info and find out. It'll take you a few minutes. jpcares.info to find out if you qualify for free cell service. Get it now before it's all used up.
The PGA Tour's Valspar Championship is back in March in 2022, March 14th through the 20th, right in the middle of the best weather of the year and the last stop on the Florida swing. The Valspar has become one of the must-do events on the Tampa Bay sports and social calendar, so get your best tickets before they sell out. The game's biggest stars love the Copperhead course at Innisbrook. Last year, we saw Dustin Johnson, Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth. Wow, the crowds, and another star-studded field is expected again this year. Sam Burns took the title and will defend again at the Copperhead. This will be a full tournament with the return of Valspar Live, our free Saturday concert featuring Chris Young and Big and Rich, and other amenities including Chameleon Cove, the Hooters Owl's Nest, the Publix Chill Lounge, and other hospitality venues. Go to ValsparChampionship.com for tickets. The best premium hospitality areas will sell out, so don't wait. That's ValsparChampionship.com. JP here for my friend, attorney Christopher Palermo. If you are having issues with a claim on your homeowner's insurance from a sinkhole, storm damage, water intrusion, defective stucco, and construction defects, or any other issue, Christopher is your man. These big insurance companies didn't get rich paying out what you deserve. Chris founded his practice in 2009 with a passion to help all Floridians with disputes where they were forced to take on the powerful and needed a champion in their corner. Chris wants to make sure you will receive the most aggressive and compassionate representations. He has recovered millions in settlements on behalf of his clients facing defective stucco damage and other construction issues. So call Chris, mention the JP Show, and he will give you a free consultation. That's 813-221-5636, or go to PalermoPA.com. He's a fifth-generation Tampanian, graduate of Jesuit High School and the University of Florida, and he cares deeply about you and the community. That's 221-5636 or PalermoPA.com.
Pure Sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, presented by Bay Area Modern Medical Center. In our second hour, a different type of approach to personalized healthcare. Find more at BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and his team will take care of you. All right, breaking news. First of all, breaking news. Colin Morakawa is going to play in the Valspar Championship. We have to make a big deal. We broke that news, and nobody's giving us credit, by the way. Other places are putting it out, and JP Peterson Show had it first. We don't get that? What's up, 620? What are you doing? You're not going to do that? Come on. I kind of laugh at all that stuff, but whatever. Nikita Kucherov has entered COVID protocol. That's not good.
In the last week that they're testing for players. The last week.
Man, that's bad timing. It's probably
terrible timing.
Probably a false positive. But I guess he has to enter it now, and that's that. But he'll be back soon. Joe Smith also tweeted out, I guess he's got somebody's put out a poll about head coach of the year candidates. And of course, John Cooper was not mentioned on there. I mean, all the injuries this guy's had to deal with, losing half of his roster in the offseason, and they're still the top point team in the NHL, and he's not the best coach. He doesn't get coach of the year.
Has he ever won coach of the year?
I think he did. Didn't he last year?
I just
And
don't.
one of the years they won the title?
I
No?
don't recall that he's
No,
won coach of the year yet.
I think he won it's the Jack Adams, right?
The Jack Adams.
I think we'll double check that. I think he won it one of the years we've won the championship.
No,
he has to.
He has not won it.
Are you freaking kidding me?
No, that's what I remembered. That he had not won it. A bunch of guys who didn't win the Stanley Cup: Tortorella, Gallant, Trotz, Cassidy, Brenda Moore, all the guys that they beat to get to the Stanley Cup.
But he's so much talent. Anybody can just roll him out there, and it's the bottom line in hockey. If you haven't played the game, if you're a coach, you're just not going to get respect. And you have a talented group. You know how hard it is to keep a talented group together and on the same page and all that stuff. I mean, I get it. It's easier to win with talent than without it. But I mean, we got to give some type of. The dude's won back-to-back Stanley Cups and still doesn't have a Jack Adams, and now we're not even going to put him in the conversation after what he's doing this year?
I'll give you a hint. If you go look at the history of the Jack Adams, which I have it all pulled up right here, the guy that wins the Stanley Cup never wins the Jack Adams Award.
Never wins it?
Never wins it. There is a history. I'm looking right at it right now. None of these coaches won the Stanley Cup.
Why didn't he win it? One of the years they lost finals.
Don't know.
Because they didn't win the kind of stupid. So Jordan Whitehead has deleted his tweet.
Yep.
Or he tweeted out. Should have been, but it basically should have been in there on the last play. Got a lot of positive response from. I mean, we're not going to disagree with that. The last play was a disaster on so many levels.
Yeah, nobody's going to disagree with it. He should definitely be out there. He's earned the right, but not everything's got to be put on social media.
Right.
Like why are we still having these conversations, players, man?
I'm telling you,
I don't get it.
People have been asking me, about the turmoil thing, and again, we used to be able to go into the locker rooms on Wednesdays and Thursdays and develop relationships with these players, and it's just not like that anymore. So it's hard to get, the good information that we used to be able to get. But just in, you sniffing around and seeing what's what, I just think the story is going to come out that AB fractured this locker room. And he's still, I guess there was a story today that he's doing this DJ thing next week. And now that he's going to go, he wants to play with Lamar Jackson with the Ravens. Yeah, good luck with that. Good luck with that. I think John Harbaugh would be an idiot to let that guy back in his or let him in his locker room just because
that ain't happening. They're so buttoned up over there. Come on,
man. I think you'd be crazy too at this point. I mean, with all the support he got here and turned his back on Brady and Arians and everybody who supported him, brought him from ass clown status to a Super Bowl champion. And yeah, he was a big part of it. And the bottom line is, do we have a better chance of winning that game if he doesn't go off the reservation? 100%. 100%. I mean, as much as I didn't like the signing, I made a culpa and said, look, it was great. It worked out. We won a Super Bowl. He kept his mouth shut, did everything right. He was great up until the whole COVID thing hit, the fake card thing, the story. I think it kind of taken to a dark place. He was suspended away from the team. It's his old posse showed up. The old AB showed up, and I think he got in the heads of some guys. Clearly, Ronald Jones. He was in the head of Ronald Jones, and maybe some of these other guys that are tweeting out SMB and Jordan Whitehead. Maybe they were influenced by him as well. I think that's what we're going to find out, that he became a cancer in the locker room and started getting in some of these young guys' heads. And Arians is not treating you right. Rojo, you're not getting the carries. Blah blah blah. I have very strong feelings that's going to be the narrative that develops. Would you agree?
It wouldn't shock me. I don't put anything past Antonio Brown anymore. I put nothing past him anymore.
Yeah, it's a disaster. What else do we need to hit on today? MLB negotiations going back. It looks like this is going to be, I thought they'd maybe lose a couple weeks of spring training. It may be more than that. But if these baseball players are stupid enough and these owners are dumb enough to cut into the season, God help you. Yeah, and in this situation that we're in right now with COVID, and all that's going on in our country, and you billionaires are going to be arguing with millionaires about playing baseball. You're idiots.
Well,
you're just idiots.
They're meeting again today, so it's good news, back-to-back days. But more importantly for baseball at the moment, the Hall of Fame voting is today. I swear that Barry Bonds, Alex Rodriguez, David Ortiz, Manny Ramirez, Sammy, all of them, they all should be in the Hall of Fame. They all should be in the Hall of Fame. And you writers out there need to get over yourself. You're not, I don't know why a lot of you are putting in ballots with no names on. I don't know if you want attention or what, or you were, they hurt your feelings in a media session one time. Makes zero sense to me. David Ortiz is a shoo-in for the Hall of Fame because he was nice with the media. He also took steroids. What's the difference? And by the way, the Hall of Fame is full of cheaters and PED users and people who did stuff outside of the game that wasn't nice, quote unquote. Put them all in. And Pete Rose while you're at it.
All righty then. I don't even have time for rebuttal on that one. I'll have to bring it back tomorrow. Our thanks to TJ Rives, Scott Reynolds. Great conversation on the Bucs today. If you missed anything, download our app, FanStream Sports, all one word. And also you can see it on YouTube. Subscribe, follow us on YouTube. Follow our show page on Instagram, JP Peterson Show, and also on Twitter. And you'll get everything you need. The show every day live on Twitter as well. Have a great day, everybody.